The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. It's Wednesday, my favorite day of the week. We will be doing Ask Dr. Doreen in just a moment. You'll have the opportunity to ask Dr. Doreen Grandpichet, a true expert in the field of autism, questions. Emily's going to show you some different ways that you can interact with the show here, and I'm going to remind you the only place to watch us live is www.autism-live.com. When you go to that site, you will see the show airing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's constantly on a loop. But we do 10 hours of live programming a week. So if you're on the East Coast, that would be from 1 to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you're on the West Coast here in the United States, it is from 10 to noon. And when you go there, anytime you go there, you have the opportunity to ask questions in real time. But during the live show, we can answer your questions in the moment. It's a very exciting thing. You don't have to log on. There is no request for a credit card. It's completely free. We don't know your name. It's completely anonymous. And you can get some important information to help you to be more efficient, more effective, whether you're working with a child on the autism spectrum or you yourself are on the autism spectrum. So we hope you'll participate. But without further ado, it's time for Ask Dr. Doreen.
Dr. Doreen Grandpichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grandpichet.
Dr. Grandpichet.
Dr. Doreen Grandpichet.
Dr. Doreen Grandpichet is a visionary in the field of autism, and now you get to ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen. Our very special guest on Wednesday mornings is Dr. Doreen Grandpichet. Welcome, and so glad to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
And now is a great time. If you have questions that you would like to write in and have Dr. Grandpichet answer, please do them on our live feature, or you can email them to us or put them on the Facebook. We want to always remind that there won't be any child-specific advice, and there's a really good reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a disservice to our kids if we attempted to give advice that was very specific here. Yeah, I don't know the children that I'm reading about here, and we'll do our best to give some general answers, but forgive us if we're not able to make the answers very, very specific to your situation. Please follow up in some cases if we're not, and we'd like to be able to help. But really, ethically, I don't feel right giving answers when I haven't met the child, I haven't assessed the child, don't know much. But we'll do our best here to guide.
Absolutely. We can always, talk about options and more questions and different paths you can go down. So fabulous. So thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with a couple of questions here. Love this one. How do I teach my teenage son to gracefully end an argument? He currently will not let anything go and apparently cannot accept that he is not always correct. My husband will tell you that I suffer from this also. I'm right. I'm always right? Usually that's the woman's prerogative, but this is a teenage son, and sometimes people get stuck, right? And they don't know how to end an argument. It really is quite an art. What would you recommend?
This is a difficult thing to answer because I don't know really the functioning of this teenager, but I would suggest that you try to find out what aspect of continuing the argument, I guess, is maintaining his behavior. In other words, what aspect of it is reinforcing to him that he wants to maintain this? So it could be a variety of things. Like, for instance, some people just enjoy arguing, period, because it's dialogue. Okay,
Right.
so it's, conversational in some ways. So you have to
Lawyers,
kind of rule
all
that
they
out.
do, their
It's
job is to argue.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
right,
it can be very fulfilling sometimes.
Absolutely. And then there's so many aspects to this. So one is by continuing the conversation or the argument, is he winning, or in his perception, does he think he's winning? In which case, that means that he's lacking in other aspects of his life the feeling that you get when you win. So he's a little bit short on feeling victorious, which means you need to kind of give him other things in other parts of his life where he is the successful one, the winner, the victorious one, and that will help reduce his need to win in these types of situations. So that's one thing as a whole. The other things are, again, it goes back to, we've often talked about this, perspective taking. Being able to understand that if you win, that means that the other person is losing, and being able to have empathy towards the loser usually reduces our need to make other people lose, because we feel bad about it. So people who are not argumentative are usually people where their need to win is less than, the empathy. So they have more empathy, they don't have a huge need to win, and together then they give up. Okay, so both of those things would possibly be lacking because he doesn't know how it makes the other person feel, and he has a huge need to win. So let's give him his winning need somewhere else.
Okay.
And let's make sure he understands that he's, by continuing this thing, he's making the other person feel bad. And so those are kind of just two examples of how you take a situation and you try to break it down. You have to start with what is his reason for doing this, and what does he gain by it. And like I said, it could be that he feels victorious or something. Most of the time when people, and apologies, because mom says, or whoever wrote this says, yeah, mom, I think, says that you're the same. Most of the time when we're argumentative, it's simply because we're not feeling, strong enough or victorious enough in other areas of our life. And if you feel like you are strong enough in other areas, you are a winner in other areas, you won't necessarily argue everything to death.
Okay, interesting.
That's
good advice for all of us. Fascinating. Okay.
The other thing I just should mention behaviorally is when he starts to get into this argumentative thing, you might want to consider having the other person just walk away, just to see how he reacts to it. And then you would really have to sit down and have a conversation about it if his functioning allows that.
Okay.
And say, look, you made this person feel bad, and that's why they walked away.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Just
okay.
some ideas.
Great. Somebody wants to know, what do you recommend for summer activities for kids on the spectrum?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. If your child needs to catch up with certain things, then I often look at the summer session or period of time as a good opportunity to catch up. With a lot of, with a lot of our kids at CARD, we actually, we're year-round, so we actually have our kids come in and double up on therapy during the summer because it's awesome. We love to have our kids at the centers, so that parents also get a break during the summer if that's something they want to do. But so if you are in an ABA program, summer is a great opportunity to increase hours to teach specific things that need to be caught up. If the child has any kind of academic delay, summer is a great time to do those things. Other than that, there's a ton of camps. So there's does it say where they live?
No, it doesn't.
So there's a lot of things in California, for instance. There's there's a variety of things. There's everything from surfing, of course, with surfers healers or surfing.
Yes, in fact, we on the 1st, our team is going to go and film them surfing.
Oh, awesome! That's fabulous.
With Surfers Healing. Yes.
Yeah, that's terrific. They're a terrific group. So that's one thing. Then there's also, of course, social skills camps or groups where you actually will take your child there all day, and then they're doing a variety of social skills types of activities. Isn't our theater thing in San Diego, the Cox thing, this summer?
Yes, the inclusion films. And in fact, Joey Travolta does inclusion films, and he does workshops around the country and in Canada. So you should check their website to see if he's going to be anywhere near you. I have heard so many great things, whether it was younger kids that did inclusion films or older kids that then found their niche, the thing that they were going to do that may or may not have something to do with film. And I get chills literally when we talk about it, because it's every parent that I've talked to that has put their child through inclusion films has said wonderful, wonderful things. I can't wait for Jem to do it. Yeah,
it's very, very nice. And I know that, is Jem doing it this year?
No, he isn't doing it this year, but I think he has to be one more year old enough to be able to do it. But I'm so excited for him to participate in it.
That's really awesome. And there's a billion other things too. There's, I know, a softball camp for our kids. There's a lot of other camps around. So, summer, I think, is a good opportunity either to catch up with some things that might be needing some extra help, or just to do social activities, because our kids always tend to need that too.
Absolutely. And because we talked about inclusion films, you mentioned theater, a lot of our families have reported that their kids love doing theater, that it doesn't have to be inclusion films. They do the whole film production and the acting on top of it, so you get all of those different skill sets. But just taking an acting class sometimes, and more and more of those are springing up, where some of them will specifically be for kids on the spectrum. Other ones, you just include them in it. I think that's a really fun thing to do.
That's right. I think even Second City is developing some programs right now as well. Yeah,
there's
amazing.
A lot of...
Yeah, they're a terrific group as well. And of course, the other thing is, during the course of the summer, you just, this is also your opportunity to spend more time with your child and to, just bond a little bit. That's how I look at the summers.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
really good point.
Our kids are so busy all the time as it is.
Yeah.
Another thing is, a lot of parents will use the summer period to do a lot of assessments, either medical, biomedical assessments, or other types of health. And I tend to look at the summer as a good time for my kids to get their checkups and dental, vision, all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. And not only that, thinking about doing, if you're going to incorporate something biomedical, starting it earlier in the summer, because sometimes there's a little bit of a period of adjustment that comes with some of the biomedical things.
Right.
And it might be easier, to do that.
That's right.
In the summer.
Yeah, and anything, that's a very good point. And on that point, other things that might interfere with your child during the school year, for instance, if you're going to be doing a program to work on the child's sleep, right? And they're going to have problems with sleeping for a bit, that's a good time to do it in the summer, so that they can actually not worry about having to get up early in the morning.
Right.
Those types of things.
Yeah.
But I generally speaking, for most of our parents, I think it's just really helpful over the summer to increase some of the skills that help our kids be more independent in the coming year.
Absolutely. You mentioned assessments, and today you have a very big event that's happening today. Tell us what's happening tonight.
Well, our assessment center we're doing our sort of grand opening of our assessment center in the Woodland Hills Clinic, which just opened, and that is tonight. We have Dr. Evelyn Garcia, as you know, who is in charge of our assessment center, and all of our lovely psychologists there who do all sorts of testing. I'll be there, and you'll be there, I hope. And
I have a school thing tonight, so I'm not there, unfortunately.
But we have a lot of people coming tonight, and we are just going to, show them around, tell them a little bit about the types of stuff we do in assessments, and welcome the community, because from what I understand, there's still a very big shortage of people who know autism and are also licensed and do testing and standardized assessments.
So, but if people are in the Los Angeles area, I know that you can make a reservation. If you go to the CARD Facebook site, you can make a reservation to go to the assessment center.
Right, and it should also be hopefully on our website.
I believe it is as well.
Right.
And so really a very fascinating event, and an opportunity if you want to be able to meet Dr. Grant Pichet and
And I think it starts at 5:30. We're thrilled. We're opening a lot of new sites, as you know, Shannon, right now. So this is our Woodland Hills site, which has opened. And we don't just do assessment there. It's a large center-based clinic where we will do home therapy from there as well, just like we do everywhere.
Wow.
But it's center-based, so it's a larger site so that the kids can actually be dropped off, and it'll be sort of like a school setting for our kids. And through the year, not just the summer, through the year, the kids can be brought in anytime for therapy there, so the parents can actually start to live.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, and maybe we should take a moment to talk about that. The differences between a center-based system and what everybody else has been doing for a while.
Yeah.
Because I know when I talk to people in other areas of the country, and we talk about California and how did I get ABA, and there was funding for ABA, and people go, oh, how amazing and how lucky you are. And believe me, I know on a daily basis how lucky we were. But I'm always mindful of the fact how difficult it was, because we were two working parents, and you can't do that. When you have a home-based program, somebody has to be home. I still worked from home, changed careers to work from home, but it's difficult, and
it's extremely difficult.
And there were so many parents in California that I would talk to that I would say, "Did you do ABA?" And they would say no, and I would say, "Why not?" Because both of us needed to work, or we were going to lose our house.
Couldn't afford it. Yeah, I know. It's horrible, and it's been. And you have to. I mean, California, we're in so many states that I see so many parents. California is such a wealthy state.
Yeah.
I don't think people even realize that. Just having the ability to, let's say, have a home where you can have therapists come in and work is unusual. You look at the southern states or the Midwest and so on, and sometimes we have families who are living in a trailer.
Yep.
And it's very, very difficult for them. And we've had a lot of constraints around this because some of the funding sources, for instance, regional centers in California would not really allow center-based.
Right.
And
somebody had to be home in order for your child to have therapy.
Well, and they did not want center-based because their thought was that, I don't know who put this in at what time, I'm not sure, but their thought was that parents are such a vital part of this that they need to be at every single session at home, and through the process of doing therapy in the home, the parent will get trained. And so the reason they wouldn't let us to have therapy at centers is because their perspective was the parent needs to be there.
Yeah.
And so it's taken me years and years and years, and we just submitted a bill which I think is passing, and the whole concept with that was, I will train our parents. That's not the issue. I can train the parents. I will want the parents present at clinics when we meet every week or every second week, so that they are not only trained, but they're involved in the program, because I agree that parent involvement is a huge part of the program.
Yeah.
But having said that, I don't think that something this intensive, I would not be able to function if someone told me, by the way, we're going to be in your home 30 hours a week and you need to be there.
Yeah.
That's just impossible. How
It definitely shakes your life up. It does.
Exactly.
You do it because it's a wonderful opportunity to help your child, and we did it.
Right.
But it is, and I know it's hard for parents who are dying on the vine waiting to get the insurance reform in their state so they can have that.
Right.
But we always like to remind people that it's still hard.
It's very hard.
And then for the center-based, though, it's a bit of an answer to a prayer to a lot of people's difficulties.
It's awesome. For many reasons, it's a win-win situation. Not only, well, first of all, it's all one-on-one, right? Yeah. So it's not like we bring the kids in and now just because we're at a center, they have to share attention. No, it's absolutely the same therapy schedule. So you have your team of therapists, they change shifts, they're at the center.
Yeah.
Your child will have their own personal space. It's not like they're in a classroom. They have their own space for instruction. What is fabulous about it is that we will have enough kids around where if there is another child that's appropriate for your child, we will then have the ability to start doing some peer type social work together together just like that because they're there. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I mean, some of our centers have been center-based for a long time. Like Texas, Austin, Texas has been center-based for a long time. Virginia, we have a clinic-based and we have a school. So we kind of know sometimes it won't work out to have two kids together, but sometimes it's the best thing that could ever happen, and our kids really learn from each other as well. So I think it's a fabulous thing. Parents are very, very, like, they just love the idea of being able to drop their kids off. Sometimes we have kids all day long, and sometimes it's after school. They'll come to us and it's after school. It doesn't matter. We love to do it. So that's our Woodland Hills location. We're also just about to launch our Thousand Oaks location. I think in about 2 weeks or so they're opening there. And that will also, all of our centers will, as of next year, offer center-based. All of our centers. So
that's amazing.
That's like now, I don't know, somewhere around 25 locations. So Thousand Oaks is opening. We're opening another location in San Marcos, which is right by Camp Pendleton. That's for our military family. I mean, it's for all families in the region, but we specifically picked that location because we have so many military families that need help.
So exciting.
And that'll be an awesome site as well. I'm very excited about that. As you know, we now have 2 locations in Connecticut. Boston is opening, and then of course we have the one in Sandwich, which is closer to the Cape. And I think we're opening one now very shortly in Baton Rouge, and then we're going to start developing the whole South and opening there. And I think we're splitting a couple of our other offices. I'm hoping to open one in West LA side.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, our offices get very big, very fast, and it becomes unmanageable. And you know, a lot of parents who are with CARD, I guess their #1 complaint is scheduling, and it just becomes very, very, very difficult to manage when you have. I think it's like when you reach 100 kids, which means about 100 therapists at a site, it's unmanageable. So it's much better to split and have like 50 as your maximum, and that seems to work out much better.
I can only imagine when you have therapists that are coming. Our first year we were a 40-hour program, and I still have a lot of the schedules that because I kept so that someday I could show Jem and go, this is what we did.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because our entire lives were scheduled, and there are A weeks and B weeks, and you have to know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be. You really have to have some military precision going so that you know, because we would have to go across town to go to an OT appointment. You guys know, you know the drill. And then you come home, you have the therapy session, and then you go to the speech appointment, and you know, and then you try to still your dizzy head and look at the schedule and say, where am I supposed to be?
Yeah, it's craziness.
And I can't imagine, I mean, that's just with one child. So the person who's piecing together which therapist is going where at what time and travel time, I always tried to be really nice to the person who put together the schedule, because I can't imagine the mathematical problem that is.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, we've used, I don't even know how many different types of software which won't function the way we want to. So ultimately it always ends up being having 100 schedules of therapists and 100 schedules of parents on the wall, so you can kind of code them. The reason it's difficult is not just pairing these people up into groups or figuring out, you know, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, I have these therapists on that case. It's the funding sources all have different requirements for credentials, so you also have to look at each parent's funding source. Sometimes, as you know, in California, a parent will have 3 funding sources. So then every session has to be provided by the type of therapist that qualifies for that particular funding source, which is crazy. And then, of course, you have to make sure, like you said, that they can drive from one location to the next and get there on time. But then don't forget, we also have employee regulations. You know, like, so we have to build in lunch periods, we have to build in breaks, and we have to kind of consider the personality and the demographics of the staff. Like sometimes with my little girl clients, I don't really want a huge guy therapist. But I'd rather have the male therapist with my 16-year-old Asperger's kids, or you know, so it's a lot of stuff.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. We should take a short break, and then we're going to come back. We've got a question that I want to make sure that we get to, so stick with us.
The Institute for Behavioral Training provides programs to educate students, parents, and professionals proven techniques using applied behavior analysis. Access online video lessons with IBT eLearning. Get one-on-one personalized instruction with IBT face-to-face training. Acquire professional guidance with IBT BCBA supervision. Develop professional growth with IBT continuing education courses. Get access to IBT services today. IBT, 360 degrees of ABA training.
Welcome back to Ask Dr. Doreen. Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is here with us. We have kind of a lengthy question here. Hello, Dr. Doreen and Shannon. My daughter, 14, on the spectrum, mainstreamed, very functional, good grades, but double sense, sarcasm, and perspective taking is something we're working on. My other daughter, 16, who is neurotypical, argues with me and gets upset for different reasons, but of course later we're hugging and kissing when the issue is solved. But the one on the spectrum does not understand how come she doesn't like mommy before and then she kisses mommy. We tried different social stories to explain to her that people argue often and later they get to a point that that doesn't mean that they don't like that person, but in her mind, that switch is not willing to understand this concept yet. Please, any approach will be helpful. Thank you so much. Love your show. It's hard for kids to understand when people seem adamant about something and are arguing, and you, bless your heart, you have your hands full. Two girls that are teenagers,
yes.
And you're in the trenches with the 16-year-old, and that's hard enough. But then you make peace with the 16-year-old, and the 14-year-old doesn't understand it.
Right. And I think what you are missing, what you're trying to teach actually to your 14-year-old is the concept of forgiveness. Because I don't think I think we all in general life, the reason that we make up is because we forgive. And forget, I guess. And I think there's different levels of forgiveness. Sometimes we don't really forgive, but other things become more important, which is, I don't want to have distance with mommy, for instance.
Right.
But I think that's what you're focusing on, and I think we do have a lesson about forgiving. But really the concept of on skills, the concept of forgiving is, you would want to kind of draw out maybe for your 14-year-old and say there's different types of arguments. So one argument, you find a solution and then everybody's okay with it and it's over. Another type of argument, you might never find a solution and people might still disagree with each other. But
that doesn't mean we can't keep talking to each other and loving each other.
Exactly. So for instance, you'd want to give more concrete examples. Like, we might have differences of opinion. Like your favorite color might be pink and mine might be white. Now, we don't want to convince each other because it doesn't matter. Everybody can have their own favorites. But if we did want to convince each other, that would cause an argument because we're never going to agree because you have your own favorites, I have my own favorites, and that's just the way it is. Now, given that situation, do you still love me?
Right.
Do I still love you? So place an argument in front of her and make her realize that disagreements can exist in the same space as love. And also that, if a disagreement becomes, animated and turns into an argument, it has really nothing to do with love, and that you can, in a lot of ways, forgive people for having hurt your feelings during that argument. And that's what forgiveness is, that you always go back to that relationship of love, and that's a solid state that's not going to change. And I think that's what it is, because I think it might be maybe scary and young children are this way as well, where they think you might stop loving them if you have an argument. So I think making sure that she understands the stability of that love relationship regardless of anything else, because truthfully, what could our kids do where we would ever stop loving them? Nothing.
Right.
So therefore that stays regardless of anything else that happens. But then also we forgive our kids all the time.
So would it be accurate to say, though, that before you can talk about all those things, it sounds like the precursor to it is the knowing and believing lessons, understanding and false beliefs?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like thank you for pointing that out, because I think the parent did write that she's missing some of the areas in the beginning of the email. It's
double sense, sarcasm, and perspective taking is something that we're working on.
Yeah, perspective taking, like I said, influences so much of future development. I mean, it's huge, right?
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
all of those, so the knowing and all of those types of things that you mentioned are in our cognition curriculum. They're part of the whole theory of mind or perspective taking series of lessons, and they are very important.
And I have to say, they're fun lessons. I was overwhelmed with that idea of how do you teach a child the difference between when you know something and when you just believe it. And how do you react to somebody else, the perspective taking of, is this a belief for them or is this something that you can know, and how do we react to that? That whole thing overwhelmed me. How do I teach that to a child on the spectrum? And yet the lessons were actually very fun.
Yeah, they are fun. And we capped it off, I guess, at a certain point, because some of the things we feel we know, and know, of course, is something, I suppose, that is consensus on belief. Produces knowing, right? It's like if everybody agrees on this thing, then these planets exist, let's say. Even those change. Right? As we know.
Yeah, it's so, like, getting your hands around some of these things, it's really difficult. So how do you teach it? But absolutely.
Yeah, so we've developed some fun ways to teach those things, but it is a very extremely abstract type of concept, and it's hard for our kids. But I think, and you have to keep working on these things. As you know, Shannon, teaching those individual concepts can take a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But for this family, I really think it's important for the 14-year-old to understand that everything else can happen, but the love relationship still remains. Yes. It's kind of, in psychology, when we study this, it's called state versus trait. And it's sort of like a trait is something that's more, it's there and it's stable and it's part of you, and a state is something that's changing over time anyway, because the state of, so sort of like that love relationship is there. Now, sometimes we might hug, sometimes we might argue, but the trait of us being together and friends and all that remains.
I love that. That's great. Okay. Talking about inflexibility, how do you work on inflexibility issues with adults, and conversely too much flexibility? There are some things my son is immovable on, and other things I can't get him on a schedule.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean by too much flexibility. Okay. I wasn't really, I've never thought of flexibility to have, to be correlated to scheduling, organization. Flexibility I see more as the ability to set shift fast. So flexibility has to do with just kind of accepting and transitioning and being able to accept things in the environment that happen out of our control or not as we expected it. So that's sort of one thing. Scheduling is more in the area of organization. We have a lot of programs on both of these areas. I think the scheduling stuff falls under task planning in our curriculum, and planning as a whole is a huge thing for everyone. Oh, yeah. And honestly, it's funny that this parent wrote about this, because I was thinking the other day that I've said this, I think, to you before, like one of the key characteristics, I think, of people who are successful in life is the ability to be organized and plan well. And there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, it's not just organization, but it's also kind of timing, being able to time yourself well. It's also just being able to follow up on each of your own tasks. Yes. It's very important to do an accurate task analysis for yourself. It's a million things go into task planning and organization. This parent will benefit from some of the things we have, because we've designed various sheets for our kids And whether it has to do with organization of school stuff or organization of anything else, life stuff, you just looking at those sheets and those lessons, they're like handouts, or like
the old word is dittos. We used to get dittos, but they're great sheets, like how to pack a beach bag.
Right.
And I looked at that handout and went, there's stuff on that sheet I didn't know.
Yeah,
which is a little crazy, but it's true.
It's true. Or it's stuff like, you're given a project and you need to basically break down the project, and then, at different times of the next week, you have to produce portions of this project and bring it all together. Yeah. These sheets kind of allow you, whoever you are, as an adult even, to kind of break down, these are the things I need to do towards this larger goal. And so then you can itemize it and do those things. I had a teacher in, I think it was 5th grade, and I remember her saying that one of the biggest skills you'll ever have is how to do an outline. And I didn't get it back then, but now I do, because outlines are like being able to outline things is very, very useful. Hopefully if you go to skills and you try to access that section of skills, it'll be very helpful.
You're talking the executive functions area, right?
It's in the executive function. Yes, it's definitely in the EF curriculum.
Okay. And which I always say is the most amazing thing to read through for everyone.
Right.
As I read through the executive functions curriculum, I said, people go and get a business coach, or people go and get a life coach, because there's some portion of their life where they're functioning on maybe 8 things, but there are 2 more things that they need to do to get their goals met.
Yes.
And that life coach or that business coach finds those 2 things, shores those up, and then suddenly the person has success and they go, hooray for the life coach. Well, that's what that curriculum does.
Absolutely. And it keeps you focused, and it task analyzes, it breaks things down for you correctly.
And gives you the roadmap to success for whatever you want to do. And I know that it's effective for our kids on the autism spectrum, but I really wish that every junior high school student had to go through that curriculum. High school would be so much more successful, and college would be so much more successful if they did.
In fact, that's why we actually developed that whole section, was when a lot of our young kids were becoming middle schoolers, and we realized, oh my gosh, there's like, even if they're doing great in elementary, when they hit middle school, there's a whole ton of planning, just like really basic things like how do I get from my class to the lockers, switch books, eat a snack on the way to the next class, and do all of that in 4 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever it is.
Right. Everything that you have to inhibit. I'm not going to stop and talk to my friend in the hallway because I've only got 4 minutes.
Time,
all the things.
Or how do I remember what books to bring home tonight when it's a project that's due in 10 days.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
Journaling. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in our curriculum about how to use journals to keep yourself organized. Yeah. So those types of things might help this family.
Yeah, and it kind of goes hand in hand. I had somebody call me this week, and I heard the thing that I hate hearing, that I continue to hear, newly diagnosed child, and the phrase that was said to the family was, don't do ABA. Your child is so high functioning. Make sure you don't do ABA.
Oh, I can't believe people say that.
I know. And then, and honestly, the week before, it was somebody who said, oh, my child is so profoundly affected. No, Shannon, we're really low functioning. We've been told, don't bother doing ABA. It's not going to work. And it makes me crazy to hear both sides of those things and to find that people are still saying them. And in metropolitan areas where they should know better.
That's crazy.
That they're saying these things. But I brought that up
amazing.
Because for so many people who have those kids, Nancy and I have started to refer to them the middle kids.
Yes.
We're in the middle. They're not quite all the way teenagers or adults yet, and they're not recovered, but they, have made a great deal of progress, and there's more that could be done.
Right.
And this executive functions curriculum, I think,
that's the stuff, right?
Really important.
But that's very sad to hear that people believe that ABA is not for the lowest or the highest functioning kids. I mean, ABA is for everyone. It is, and maybe that's what's hard for people to believe. Yeah. That it works really with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the answer.
Unfortunately, the parents didn't listen to that and said, we're going to make some phone calls, it is so disheartening to me that there are a group of kids and there's things like the executive functions curriculum that they could make such progress with,
Right.
but parents are being told, oh no, your child's so high functioning. It's like saying your child's leg is only slightly broken, we're not going to bother to do anything for it.
Exactly.
Good luck with that.
Exactly.
Let me know how that goes.
That's a
right?
good example. Yeah, it's a fracture. We're not going to put a cast on it.
Right.
No, I get it. I understand. And, you know, when I do these meetings with you or these shows with you, I always remember that one of the things that I'm trying to do for skills, but there's like so many revisions we're doing for skills 2.0, 2.5, and 3. Like there's crazy amount of good stuff coming on skills. But one of the things we've talked about here is a lot of parents have asked us to separate the domains and allow parents to have access to individual lessons without becoming a member of skills, which is perfectly fine for me. There's a lot of technology that's involved in the engine of skills, and so it'll take a little while for us to do that. But, you know, parents like this, obviously, either their child only needs a very small portion of it, or they want to kind of just get in and take a lesson and give it to someone, and we have to make that possible for people.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to do that.
I would like to make the case that, you know, I don't know who and how we talk to, but every junior high school should have that EF curriculum.
It's true.
It would be amazing.
True.
I taught junior high for a while. Those kids need it.
Yeah.
And that should be its own little class.
It's so true.
In a perfect world. But we'll keep plowing
and
towards
that's actually, I apologize, but that's one of the things, I don't know when it was, we had a question about things you could do in the summer.
Yes.
I mean, this is something that would be very beneficial to kids if you really just take one section, like the executive functioning curriculum areas, and focus on those particular skills and teach your child, because honestly, you're really teaching some pretty valuable tools.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you just made me really excited, because one of the things that we talk a lot about on the show is finding the area that your child is really good in, and parents always say, how do I find that? And then how do I give them wings?
Right.
You know, that we see, and we have people on the show that, you know, that they played the guitar and now they're performing and playing the guitar.
Right.
Or now they're the artist, and, you know, how do I find the thing, and how do I help my child to give that wings?
Right.
Well, summer is the perfect time to, you know, be asking your child, okay, we're going to do a project this summer. What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? And then the child says whatever it is. And it could be something completely pie in the sky, unrealistic. My child wanted to make a movie about a haunted house.
Awesome.
And we've been talking about this forever because it takes a great deal of time. But if I were to sit down with him and say, okay, on this day we're going to film this, how do we get from here to there?
Plan it.
And use an executive functions thing to make it happen.
Right.
And we could do that with anything. If your child wants to learn how to ride a bike or make cupcakes or start a business, kids are creative and they say things.
That's right.
I want to do this. You know, I think about Christina Adams, that her son was always interested in planes.
That's right.
So they had a plan to go to an airport. Well, you could do that with a child and go through the planning stages with them.
Totally. And these are very easy steps to apply to various things. I mean, just getting our kids at some point to start planning is huge. I know. And it comes easier to girls than it does to boys as a whole. Oh my gosh, yeah. Girls tend towards organization. Boys tend towards procrastination.
I don't know who was on the show that we were talking about this the other day, that is it because when we were little girls they handed us a doll and said take care of your baby?
It could be.
And for boys they handed them the truck and said go build something.
Go destroy it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It could be. I mean, that's a good thing. I hadn't thought about that. It could very well have something to do with that. I also think it has something to do with the fact that boys in general maintain toys for their whole lives, right? So most men have toys.
They like their toys.
Right? So they like cars or sports of some type, or watching sports or whatever. They
technology.
Yeah, and I don't want to say just toys, but technology, that's a good one, games. So they maintain something that's just, I guess, leisure or fun, play. It's play. It's play.
It is a fun
So whether it's playing a sport or watching a sport or poker or collecting cars or whatever it is, they maintain play. Women don't.
Interesting.
Women don't. So play is a high reinforcing thing, and when you have it in your life, it may lead to, or you have a higher propensity to prefer it to other things, which is why you tend to procrastinate on other things, because you have this huge reinforcer that's so preferable. Now with women, there are very few reinforcers. Our reinforcers are not play-oriented. Our reinforcers are, I am organized enough to get everything done.
Right.
That's a reinforcer. I am organized enough that I manage to help my kids with their homework or whatever it is. So a lot of our reinforcers are built into being able to finish all the things we have to do.
Yeah.
And therefore we have to be organized. So that becomes our tool. Men, it's a little different. Like, their lives are different, too.
But I go back to the toys. Is it because, you walk into the functional pretend play aisle of the toy store, and, a lot of times they call that the girl aisle, and there's the, the little pretend vacuum cleaner, and the kitchen.
Right. They teach us at a very early age.
They're programming us
to do
it's
housework. True. But, I mean, if you really think about, let's say, single dads, you'll notice that they're hugely organized.
Yes, they have to be.
So it has for sure something to do with the amount of different types of things you have to do. But women tend to have a lot of different things to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because we all work, or most women work, and you have most of the child issues belong to the wife, usually. I know they do in my life. So I just, and then you basically health care for your children, the household. It all becomes kind of part of the woman's thing.
Yeah. Although we're working really hard in my house for it to not be that way.
That's awesome.
It doesn't always work out, but we work really hard to make it so that it isn't that way.
Shared activity,
my husband's really good.
I know, but even if you think about that, in most of the cases where the men are very, very good with these types of things, in most cases, not all, most cases, the one that's organizing everything for both people to do is the wife.
Yeah, and freely we cop to that. But one of the things that got said to me early on was make sure, and my mother kind of said this, make sure that you give him, because I want to control things to the point where I take over and don't give my husband the opportunity to get in and organize something. So I have to remind myself on a regular basis to step back.
We do hard. Absolutely right. You're right. So a lot of it is just us wanting to get it done faster, get it done what we think is better.
Yeah.
You're right.
Because we're always right. Yeah. Which goes back to the first question. In any case, we're running out of time here. Okay, and here we always have like the big questions. Well, let's start with this one. My son loved riding horses when he was 6. I let him have private lessons. Then it became a girl thing. What's up with that? All of a sudden he's saying, oh, that's a girl thing. Is
he saying that, or is society looking at it that way? I'm not sure. Because I don't really see it as a girl thing. I mean, I guess I would say I understand what you're saying, but if he likes it, please keep him in it and ignore, society's thing about it, because anything that our kids start to develop, we should keep in. If he's the one saying it's a girl thing and he doesn't want to do it, I don't know, I guess, you could go either direction, I suppose. You could convince him that it's not a girl's thing, and by asking him to write out why he thinks.
She's saying society is the one who's saying it.
Society, forget it. Just ignore it completely, reward him, build him up, show, just so it doesn't start to influence him in a bad way, because he's hearing it from society as well. Show him all these fabulous male writers that have won awards and all this sort of stuff.
You've got a movie coming out, The Lone Ranger, which will help.
There you go. That will help, definitely. That will help. But
society is so funny about gender issues.
Society is very funny about gender issues, and things change over time, too. So it's like kind of, today it might be considered a girly thing, and 5 years from now it'll be the thing. Maybe just because of Lone Ranger coming out. I mean, it's just so ignore society and pursue it, because it's so important for our kids to have something they're good at and they enjoy. And
absolutely.
Horse riding, which, in therapeutic terms, I guess is referred to as hippotherapy. A lot of people say that it actually does give the child quite a bit of sense of confidence because they learn how to control such a large animal and so on. And so I think it's a very good thing for
And it's good for building core strength.
Oh my gosh,
too,
it's
for
awesome.
kids. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. And she wrote in and said that it seems that all the horse camps are for girls.
That's what the problem is, I see. Well, I mean, you can still have a relationship with a stable and just take him riding and get him into competition if he's interested, because there's a lot of that.
There is a camp that we've featured before on the show, and maybe Emily will help me remembering what the name of the camp is, but that pairs both surfing and horseback riding for kids on the autism spectrum.
Good Lord, what a great camp.
And it's all inclusive, so the whole family goes.
Nice.
And when... It's Horse Boy World, Emily just reminded me. And I know that they did them on the West Coast, but they were looking to do some on the East Coast. But you should look into that because it sounded amazing to me. The whole family goes for like 4 days. And the first thing that they do when the kids get there is they take the kids and the dads to do something and the mom gets a massage. That's the first thing.
Oh, my God. How nice is that?
How clever. How like
awesome
thinking
is that? That's right.
And when we interviewed them, they said the whole reason for that is that the kids are going to do some really exciting things, like they're going to go surf and they're going to do some horseback riding. And if mom is tense, then it kind of trickles down. And so the first thing they prioritize is having mom be relaxed and have buy-in.
That's very, very nice. Very smart.
So maybe that's very co-ed. Maybe that'd be a fun thing for everybody to get to go do. And when they were doing them, it was parents would apply to do it and there was no cost.
Right.
So that's another brilliant thing.
And having said that, there are a lot of camps that are just girls and boys for horseback riding. There's a lot of them. I'm just thinking, I don't know where this
depends on where you are in the world.
Yeah, just check, but keep going with it because there you will find camps that are mixed.
And I wonder about even calling up the camp and saying to them, seriously, what is up with this? My son wants to come, and can you get a couple of more boys? They have to want the business, right?
Absolutely.
In this economy, they have to want the business. Okay, have I got time for one more question, Emily? Okay. Would you like to answer a question about meltdowns, preventing them, or a son that has mixed expressive and receptive language disorder, ADD, and anxiety?
Either one.
Okay.
The second one is probably a little faster because if we get into meltdowns, I'll go for a while.
Yes, there's a lot to be talked about meltdowns. Okay, so, and this person is just looking for new ideas of how to help my son who has mixed expressive and receptive language disorder, ADHD, and anxiety.
Mm-hmm. This person sort of, with those three diagnoses, you kind of described autism with the three together. Because what you have is a mixed receptive expressive basically means your child's having a hard time with either receptive or expressive language or both. With the anxiety, I mean, I think the anxiety is what leads to a lot of what we call self-stimulatory, ritualistic, stereotypical behaviors with our kids, so that's the other domain. And the third was ADHD, which is, with ADHD, you're looking at the, distractibility, problems with inhibition, all that sort of stuff. So these are very, very common things that we deal with autism altogether. What were they asking?
They just want some
for?
new
ideas.
We don't even know if they're doing ABA, so that's my first question.
Do ABA.
Yeah.
Because ABA is going to deal with all three of those issues. Get on skills. Your situation is you will need work in the language area. Obviously, you will need work in the cognition and executive functioning areas to deal with the ADHD. And in terms of the sort of anxiety issues, the more functional our kids become, the more they learn skills, their anxiety tends to go down more because they're more capable. We have more anxiety when we don't have language, when we have a hard time with social communication, all that sort of stuff. I honestly think you would very much benefit from actually doing a pretty, 15 to 20 hour ABA program. This is one of those, like we just said, kind of errors in that everybody thinks that these types of interventions are not appropriate for kids with ADHD. They are, absolutely. A ton of what we do is teaching our kids how to settle down, self-regulate, focus, not be distracted, be able to inhibit distractions, be more flexible. These are all ADHD type symptoms as well. And not to mention that, of course, a lot of as our kids learn more and more tasks in language, it influences all this other stuff. So really, mixed receptive expressive used to be a diagnosis that we used very often with our kids, where the child had gotten to a very high level of functioning, and we kind of wanted to gradually take the child out of the spectrum of autism. But really what it means is there's a lot of different areas of language that need to be worked on. So you will definitely benefit if you go on to Skills and become a member of Skills, because you'll need to be for a little while.
And we've been talking about Skills a lot today, and have not mentioned, remiss on my part, that there is a sale that's only a few more days. There's about a week and 2 days left of the sale that they're having on Skills. That it is a membership, a monthly membership that you purchase, and you can start it and stop it whenever you want to. It's 20% off right now, and that's a great deal for just 1 month. But if you get it, you have 20% off the lifetime of your subscription,
which is amazing. The subscription, I think, is for an individual, it's what, $75 a month?
It's somewhere around there.
So it's not really that high. If you think about it, $75 a month over the course of a year is so minimal. You will not believe what you get when you're in there, and you can go in and test it out.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the amount of information that you get by being a member.
And I know that parents, when you hear any number, adding it to your budget, you go,
yes.
oh. But if you stop and consider, what have you bought just books this last month that you've gone to the bookstore to buy? I know I would buy a book to see what ideas I could find in the book and have to read the whole book and not have the time to read the whole book. So if I bought 2 books, it's the same at the regular price, but we're talking about 20% off of that. And you don't have to go searching for the answer.
Right.
It's like buying all the books with all the lessons in it and having access to it. And then on top of that, just having the IEP language.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. There's certain key things in Skills, I think, that you can't really even get anywhere else.
You can't get in a book.
If you really want to know how your child is doing, the assessment in Skills is the single thing out there that'll let you know that, because it's hundreds and hundreds of questions in all areas of functioning. It will give you such a clear picture of what areas and what specific areas, what specific skills your child needs to learn or is very strong on in every possible functioning area. I mean, that in itself is hugely valuable, I think, is
absolutely
being able to figure your child out. That assessment, when you answer just yes, no questions, it'll take you a while, but once you answer all those questions, you have a picture.
Yeah.
That's very valuable. And then everything that your child is not doing, there's a lesson, there's an IEP goal, there's teaching points, there's materials you can print out for your teacher. There's like a ton of things in Skills. It's very useful.
I'll tell you, the biggest issue that I hear from parents is, I know that there are all these things, and
it's too overwhelming.
Well, not that it's too overwhelming. It's like, which one do I need now, and focusing on that.
Right.
Because at different times I have gone to Skills and said, okay, right now I need the behavior intervention builder, plan builder.
Is also part of it now.
Which saved my keister at the last IEP meeting. Totally changed the whole game for me.
Right.
And, so that was what I needed right then. And then at other times I need the lessons. At other times I need the assessment before I go to the lessons. At other times I need the IEP language. At other times I need the progress charts to be able to compare and say, this is where we are, this is where we need to get to, this is how much work we need to put. So I think at different times use different things, and to not allow yourself to be overwhelmed by that, because there are so many things about it that are great, but just when you sit down and focus, what do I want to accomplish right now?
Right.
And start there. And I love Skills, and anytime you need help being pointed to, how can I use this in the most efficient way, write those questions in, because I love talking about it. And I keep, or call, there are people, I know that Alan works, and I've called Alan before, and I know many of you have called Alan. If you call Skills, that Alan is generally the person that you'll talk to. So helpful, and the soul of Buddha. Alan is patient and kind and considerate. So in any case, we are definitely out of time now, and we did get 2 more questions that came in towards the end. We will save them towards next week show, but I thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
And learned so much today, as always. We're going to take a break and show you this week's episode of The A Word. This is the wonderful ongoing documentary being made here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders following a little boy, Jack Riley, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. At this point in the series, he's now 3, and he's learned so much, but there's still more to be done. He's got a brand new baby sister, so they're cycling through an additional bit of challenging behavior, and you'll see the therapist and the family dealing with that. When we come back, it's time for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, and we have the cavalcade of guests for you today. It's really amazing. We're going to be talking about Ride for Autism, an important event coming up. We are hopefully going to be talking with some of the people who are putting together that Inclusion Films camp. And then we have twins that are lovely singers that are going to be here with us talking about some of the different events that they have done to benefit autism. You're going to love them. All of that, plus what you have to say to us and more. So stick with us. This is the A Word.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Hi, Jessica. Jessica's daddy. That's right. Who's this? Who's this? Bobby. And who's that? Daddy.
Who's that?
Over there. Who's that? Good.
And I totally think he's just aware of a lot of things now. People's names. How's the behavior team doing with the inflexibilities?
He's still a big control guy. He still wants it the way he wants it.
In sessions, he was very, he'd get very upset.
And he gets upset fast, like for reasons that didn't used to upset him. He gets upset fast, and then once he's upset, everything upsets him.
Were they really long?
It was a good half hour, the whole tantrum, which is long for him. Mm-hmm. Really long. Yeah. And he would just get so upset.
Yeah, everyone tells us, it's not unexpected. He's 3 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But
so we get it. We know it.
Still, it's harsh. Yeah, he's 3, but he's our 3-year-old.
Tell me a vehicle.
Good
Good job. Tell me another vehicle.
Airplane
is a vehicle. Yay. Okay, 2 more. Okay. Tell me a food.
Pancake is a food.
Pancake is a food.
Yeah.
Tell me another food. Tell me another one.
Cereal is a food.
Cereal bar
is a food. Yeah.
But he's a zebra. Hey, Jack Riley.
Yes.
Good job. Tell me an animal.
What's is an animal?
What's that?
Tell me one more time. What's an animal?
What's is an animal? What's is an
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros. Oh, okay, it's an animal. Tell me another animal.
What's is an
I
animal?
know. Tell me another one. Oh, here are your shoes. What animal is that?
Froggy.
Froggy is a what? No, frog is a
Animal.
good. So tell me another animal.
What's is an animal?
Rhinoceros is an animal, and tell me another one.
More pancake.
No, look at me. No, no, look at me.
What is an animal?
There you go. Thank you. Pancakes are not animals, silly.
There's a clue from it.
More pancake.
Yeah, and I don't mind if he looks around to like get clues, get hints. That's totally fine. Yes, I've been running sessions a little bit more like that lately, just because his behaviors have been really high. Just like if we're jumping on the bed or dancing, I'll stop for a minute and ask him like 3 or 4 questions, and then we'll just keep dancing or whatever we're doing. Let me probe. There's some stuff.
What are you going to be probing?
Actions. So I just want to see if he already knows it, then I won't even bother introducing it. Give me kissing. Oh, good. What are the kids doing?
He's kissing.
Oh, they're kissing. Can you show me kissing? Oh, good job. Give me cleaning. Okay, good. What's the girl doing?
She's cleaning.
She's cleaning. Good job.
Water.
Okay, one more. Can I have it? One more. Give me crying. What's the baby doing?
He's baby.
What's she doing? What's the baby doing?
She's Wawa.
She's Wawa? She's crying.
She's crying.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll do crying.
She's kissing.
She's kissing. What about this one? What's she doing there?
She's cooking.
Oh, she's cooking. Okay. And what's this one? What's she doing?
She's crying.
Oh, okay. So basically, she knows all of them. All right, cool. All right. What are they doing?
She's dirty.
They're what?
There's cooking.
Oh, they're cooking. Good job.
What's that cooking? What's that cooking?
Mom is cooking?
What's that cooking?
Lots of cooking? Oh, okay, cool. All right, all done. Thank you.
We can't remember.
Welcome.
We can't remember. I'm saying. I didn't hear Emily giving me a countdown.
I'm sorry. I'm like a woman in a whirlwind right now.
I know.
So excited to see you.
Good to be here.
And we're, of course, here for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Nancy.
And I'm so thrilled that you're here. And you always look lovely.
Thank you.
These colors are working so well.
I like this color on you. We're kind of color coordinated
a little,
in a way. Yeah.
But yours is a little Julier tone.
Well,
I like it.
I don't know. I like your kind of blush. What would you call that?
We belong to the Mutual Admiration Society.
That's right. We do.
Because I adore this woman.
Well,
I adore an amazing, amazing woman. And we've got an amazing show
We do.
Here
We've got
today.
some great guests, and I'm excited. But I don't know. I have something on in the news here that I pulled yesterday that I wanted to talk about with you.
Okay.
And I would love to get some feedback from our viewers because I wrote a blog on this, and my blog isn't included here, but I know exactly what I said on it because I reposted this story. And we're going to start with this because the news gets better, fortunately. But I was very saddened to hear that a second child with autism wandered and drowned in 1 week. They said that Owen Black, little boy, had wandered away from his holiday condo in Perdido Beach, Alabama, and within 2 minutes was out of his mother's sight, slipped out the door. And this person who wrote this blog, and her name's not on here, so I apologize for that, she sent out a Facebook missive that hundreds shared and tweeted, and Joe Scarborough from MSNBC retweeted the call for help, and to no avail. Owen, like Michaela Lynch last week, wandered and drowned. And I have to just read a little bit of this blog, and I will correct, I'll try to get the blogger's name, because I couldn't agree with her more on her statements here. This is the reality of autism, and all the blue buildings, and it's just a difference t-shirts, and the we don't need a cure, just accept them in the world, doesn't mean jack diddly squat. Autism is as deadly as cancer for many children. I woke up thinking of Owen, and now the news we all dreaded again. I tweeted the sad news about Owen, and yes, I blamed his autism. Someone tweeted back, "It wasn't the autism, you moron," or something to that effect. And then she blamed negligent parents. Really? Must have been one of the autism is different, not a disability crowd, or perhaps a cruel skeptic, as there wasn't a scintilla of emotion for the child, for Owen. I disagree at all levels, from a pre-verbal child like Owen and Michaela and my own Bella to an adult with Asperger's. Autism affects day-to-day life in a myriad of ways, and yes, some are deadly. And as far as negligent parents, well, yes, I'm quite sure there are rotten, negligent parents in the autism community, just as there are anywhere. The parents I have met have moved heaven and earth to keep their kids safe. I know one mom who slept on a mattress, barricading her front door in case her son tried to slip out at night. Another mom I know had to be a stalwart of the community. Her son was found walking along a busy state route, having slipped away, alive by the grace of a guardian angel. I lost my own daughter in Orlando as she quietly slipped out of a hotel room and got onto an elevator of the lobby of a 22-story building on 2,000 acres while I was in a bathroom. We are not negligent. We are human. I remember being pregnant with Bella and so tired by 2 p.m. that I had to sleep. I put on the TV and locked my bedroom door and put a bell on a chair in front of the door, knowing that Mia and Gina would knock the bell to the ground, and I could hear it just to get a 30-minute nap. I'm all for accepting my girls. I'm all for people being aware of autism, but they are hardly the priority when the rate is 1 in 50 school children. We have acceptance in every part of our life for the most part, and you'd have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to be aware of the word autism. It's the glossed over version that bothers me so much, as if the dark side of autism is too shameful to share, and it's incredibly cruel to people with autism who suffer and their families. Autism, isn't that smart, quirky kids? It's like saying cancer. Isn't that a slightly darkened mole? Well, yes, for some it is, but for others, probably the vast majority, it's not that simple or survivable. I will find out the name of the woman who wrote this blog since it's not here. I totally agree with you. And it makes me angry, Shannon. It makes me angry that people minimize. And like this writer, I'm all for acceptance. I'm all for learning about our differences, having people enlightened to the differences of our children, my son, your son. But unacceptable, any deaths related to autism, and there are deaths every day in this country that we don't know about related to autism, related to abuse of a child with autism that's not been properly diagnosed, that may be tantruming and acting out and somebody beating them or killing them, of kids being bullied, of kids drowning, of kids running away. And it's time to stop glossing over, and it makes me angry. So
absolutely.
I just wanted to say I agree with this writer. And I love my son. I love him unconditionally. And I'm the one who preaches your disability is your opportunity.
Right.
But we've got to get real about the dangers. You have said to me, if your child was a diabetic, you wouldn't say, oh, give him some candy.
Right.
But people minimize the stress, the strain, and the risks of having a child on the spectrum. And when my office is filled with stacks of paperwork for parents that have to make a choice between paying the rent or getting therapy for their child, or I've got a child who needs help because he's picking at his eye so badly it's going to have to be removed.
Right.
That's not pretty. That's not acceptable.
No. And that's not a negligent parent either. And I appreciate you sharing that. I hadn't seen that blog. We talked on Monday about the Michaela Lynch, and we have a blog on our site that I wrote. And the title of it is When a Child Dies from Autism.
Okay.
I'm 100% with you. And I said, it's all too easy for people to sit in judgment and say, why weren't the parents doing a better job? But that is people who don't know, that don't understand that we are all human beings, like you had said, and like this author had said. You cannot. You're living in a fool's paradise if you think that you can watch a child every single moment, a child who's bent on escaping, and we know that approximately 50% of kids on the spectrum will elope at least one time, and you don't know when that's going to happen. No one can be vigilant. Michaela Lynch was 9 years old. For the people who felt that that was negligent parenting, I would ask you to be vigilant for the next 9 years, not go to the bathroom and not blink. It's not possible. And to say, I really honestly think that that's people who want to be able to blame and move on because they're uncomfortable, because the true reality is it's on all of us. It's on society, that until we get help for every single child, then it's on all of us. And I asked people to support organizations such as ACT Today because you are one of the groups that helps parents when they have these issues.
It makes me very sad, though, that we can't raise the money for a fence for a family in New Jersey that's in our SOS fund that has 3 children on the spectrum, that the fence was blown away completely in the hurricane, and we can't even raise the money for them to get their fence right now.
Well, it's a matter of time.
That just really, I had to. It upset me. It's been on my mind.
It's personal.
It's personal.
That's what it is.
And when
It's
I know
personal.
that my own son, when Wyatt bolted once at LaGuardia Airport and almost was, thank God, a taxi cab came to a screeching halt. Once he took out off our front door, ran all the way up the street, and then was almost on the 101 freeway before I got him running barefoot with my feet bleeding and cut. Okay, so. There are situations out there that just aren't acceptable, and we have to say it's not acceptable.
You're right. We absolutely do. And I encourage people, one of the things that I said in the blog that I wrote was that if nothing else, share this information and say to people, and I said in the blog that if you're somebody who is grateful because you have well children and you are able to step into the kitchen and cook something or take a phone call or go to the bathroom without fear of losing your child, make sure that you do something for the rest of the people who are having to face that.
Well, we do. If people want to go to act-today.org and go on the ACT SOS, we have this family in New Jersey that needs a fence. We have another child that needs a safety bed who's banging his head so severely he could, cause very serious injury. There are a couple of situations that we have with families right now that are life-threatening.
Okay, the safety bed, I've got a number for you because there's an organization that we featured before on the show, a safety bed, and they have a fund to help for people. So we will.
Wonderful. See what you learned. There's solutions
and this is
everywhere.
why you talk, because they have a specific fund that is for that to help families. So we'll get you hooked up with them.
Great.
The safety bed that we featured before on the show. Great.
Wonderful. So I want to now let's go from that. Which we've gotten it out now.
And it's important too.
It's important to get it out because otherwise it just hangs over you and you're angry and bitter and resentful.
Yeah.
We have some great news that the bill that ACT Today sponsored for a regional center to have increased sensitivity towards ethnic populations, and primarily that translates into more Hispanic-speaking coordinators, has passed the Assembly floor and is moving on to the Senate. And we are talking, not only did it pass, 74 votes yes to 0 no, 5 abstaining. So it's moving on to the Senate, and we just got word from Maria from Manuel Perez's office, Assembly Member Manuel Perez, and we are thrilled to sponsor this, and I'm so excited. It's going to be referred to a Senate committee, and I have no doubt the Senate will pass it.
Absolutely.
And then another wonderful thing, we're so lucky here in California to have such a great advocate for our families in the President Pro Temp, Darrell Steinberg, the Democrat from Sacramento. California's landmark insurance coverage law set to sunset in 2014. The California State Senate approved a bill just a couple of days ago by California Senate President Pro Temp Darrell Steinberg to extend the law's provisions until 2019. Senate Bill 126 renews Senate Bill 946 of 2011, requiring health insurance companies to provide coverage of behavioral health treatment for ASD as a medical benefit. SB 126 passed with bipartisan support, with 36 senators voting in favor of the bill, none opposed. It now heads to the state assembly. I don't know how that works, that some start in the assembly and go to the Senate.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I think it's where the bill originates. Where is that?
Where it originates. Okay. I was going to say I'm going to have to get Julie Cornett, the public policy analyst for CARD, to
I'm not positive, but I think it's where it originates.
Okay. Well, this bill was authored by Senator Steinberg, and it ends the discriminatory practice of health insurance plans denying coverage of early intervention therapies. And Senator Steinberg said an estimated 12,500 Californians are currently receiving early autism treatment under the 2011 law, with an estimated savings to taxpayers of $200 million annually in special education costs.
Right.
So this is definitely something that makes sense from a budget standpoint. And Californians with autism now have access to the most extensive insurance coverage of any state in the nation. And Steinberg has worked with Governor Brown's administration to help families that have lost treatment for their children, and that's the transition, the Healthy Families Program to Medi-Cal. And he went on to say, while SB 946 is a proud achievement, it's not nearly enough. This year we intend to fight to make sure all kids, regardless of whether they're on public or private insurance, get the benefit of behavioral therapy. We must seek to include behavioral treatment for autism in Medi-Cal manage health care to ensure children receive necessary and equitable services. Thank you, Senator Steinberg.
Yes.
Thank you, Lou Vismara, who works with you, and all the amazing legislators we have in California that hopefully, because of their enlightenment, their understanding of autism, that we will not have more tragedies, that kids that are eloping and wondering will learn not to do so, as my son did through his behavior therapy.
Absolutely, and my son as well. And that's exactly what needs to happen, and we're lucky that we have this gentleman in our corner.
Senator Steinberg is just an amazing man. Everyone in California needs to know how pro-autism he is.
Yep.
And he's terming out. I hope he's going to have national aspirations.
I do too, because he really has been somebody in our corner.
He has.
And has stood up on several occasions and said, the buck stops here with me. We're going to make sure that these kids get help.
Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah.
So we're ending on a great note. And sorry I've taken so much of in the news, but I've got my, you know, I've got my
You had your
here.
Norma Ray on, and we talk about that all the time.
Norma Ray on, and
that's why we need you, because you get your Norma Ray on and you get money raised. So don't you apologize for that.
All right, it's our kids, and we can't afford to lose one more of our precious children.
No, we cannot.
And so now we're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about the Autism Film Program, which our wonderful friends at Cox Communications are sponsoring. And it's the second year, and I think you're gonna talk to Joey next week.
You know what? We're gonna get Joey on the phone today, because I had other things that I needed to talk about with Joey, because we're trying to work out having an intern here. So hopefully we're going to have him on the show in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great. All right.
So we're going to take a break.
And then we'll come back with the great people from Cox Communications to talk about the film camp.
Yes. Right. Stick with us.
When you find out you're having a boy, you always think like, oh, he's going to play football, he's going to do this and that. And then when he's diagnosed, all those things get washed away.
It's like that piece that's always in the back of your mind, you know, where is he, what is he doing, is he safe?
We really didn't know what we were dealing with. I wish that they could have directed me a little bit more and provided me some information.
I was a young mom. I didn't know what it was like to raise a boy, despite a boy with autism.
Hundreds of thousands of families are not getting the help they need for their children with autism all around the country. ACT Today is determined to bridge the gap. These families really have to go through a lot to get a grant. The application process isn't easy. The records, the diagnosis proof, they're really battling for their kids. So when we can give them a grant, it is so wonderful to see that they succeed in getting that help for their children. Our founder, Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet, is an amazing woman, and she is one of the world's foremost authority on behavior of children with autism. She's extremely knowledgeable, and she oversees every single grant we give. She is part of that process. People may think of autism care and treatment as simply schooling or therapy, but we provide important safety supports, things like fencing, for example. The whole family's living in fear of that child running out into traffic. I recently delivered an iPad to a little boy with some of the apps that are out there for children with autism. Miracles happen.
I got the iPad from ACT.
From ACT,
What did it say? Can you repeat that, Dustin?
I got the iPad from ACT.
We have helped so many military families, and when I think of these brave families that are fighting two battles, one to protect our country and one for the right treatment and care for their children, it breaks my heart, and I think we have to do more as a nation to help them.
There's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't think about it. Some people say, oh, he's normal. You don't see the battles that I see every single day. My husband does have to deploy, and when they get on that bus, that might be the last time that my kids ever see them.
So I called, and they informed me that he had received the grant, which was like a blessing from above. I was just like speechless. I just started to cry because, without it, we would have been lost.
The ACT grant was a total miracle. Without that, we wouldn't be able to receive the service dog, so we're so appreciative what they've done for us as a family.
Recently, Act Today funded a program for military children with autism in San Diego, the Inclusion Films program, which is run by Joey Travolta, and teaches kids on the autism spectrum literal filmmaking skills. They learn how to make a movie.
Are we ready? There you go, got it. Okay. Everything that goes into the process of making a film goes into everyday life. So they're learning life skills, they're learning to collaborate.
It was really nice to know how much they were enjoying this camp. And they're with people who are supporting them and are making them feel great about themselves and their differences and their similarities. And I get 2 kids that are working together and apart and together and apart, so it's an interrelationship as well as a camp and a learning experience.
It's so fulfilling when I get letters. One stands out for me, a boy who was 14 with Asperger's, and we gave him a grant to go to a drama camp. He wrote to us and said, "Dear Act Today, thank you for letting me belong for the first time in my life." These kids are remarkable. You know, we underestimate them. They're so knowledgeable, they're so capable, and we can change the life of a family, which means changing the life of a community. We are back, and while Shannon was trying to look for the name of the woman who wrote that blog, which I thought was an excellent, excellent blog.
We'll get it during the next
We'll get it, so we can give her credit for that, because we agree with her 100%. And now we have with us Cammie Matson, who is Director of Community Relations for Cox Communications. And Cammie, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to see you, and of course, you and I worked together last year when I was able to come down and visit the film program, and then, of course, we had a great time at the San Diego Film Festival, where our military kids with autism who completed the program were able to premiere their film that they made and learned how to make, Shannon.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Welcome to the show, Cammie. And I have to start by saying to you, I think it's remarkable that Cox Communications has sponsored this and is sponsoring it again this year. And I just have to ask, why? Why is this program so important to Cox Communication? And why do you feel that it's important to your community?
Well, first of all, we've identified military, youth, and education as our 3 focus areas for community, and this hits all 3. Also, we look at our communications technology as an asset to further social objectives or to help the community. So you take this film camp, which is really entertainment. We're about entertainment. It's kids who are underserved, desiring inclusion. It's part of our core values. It just hit on so many levels with Cox that it became a very natural component. And then the idea that we could create a camp out of our own campus here and engage employees just was the icing on top of the cake.
Well, it's remarkable.
I know. And Cammie, you talked about doing it on the campus there at Cox. Shannon, I hope you can come down this year. It's such a great environment for the kids. And Cammie, I know that you saw a lot of the families benefit from this experience, and we'll talk about that. Tell us how your employees benefited from this experience.
Well, we had over 100 employees volunteering for this, and it made such a huge difference. Right here on the campus in Kearny Mesa, we have our call center, and those employees don't get away from their desks very often. So the fact that they could step away from the call center and volunteer for a couple hours or help at lunch was huge. These are folks that don't get out during the regular working day. And so instead of it being an obstacle, because parking was closed down, certain meeting spaces were closed down, you know, there were certainly obstacles. I heard none of it. I've only heard the blessing that it brought to the organization, the feel good, the gratitude, and that has lived on throughout the whole year. And that's why we want to do it again, because it was heartfelt. I had employees in tears, and so appreciative and grateful for the opportunity.
That's wonderful. Do you have any personal memories that from last year that have stuck with you, Cammie, about from the families and their appreciation or what the kids said to you?
You know, I have so many memories. So I'll start with this, is when the kids first came in, And many of these families have shared with me that their child has never felt included. They feel different. They don't fit in. And this opportunity allowed them to feel included. And so a shyness or an awkwardness that was in the beginning completely melted away as the program progressed. Kids were singing and dancing, taking lead roles, working with animation, working with filming, editing, all of this. And they came alive. They believed in themselves. They felt like, I'm not so different. I have talent. I have skills. I can do anything. I have no boundaries or obstacles. So to see them blossom over a 2-week period and to see the crew and the people all supporting and loving them in a safe environment, that really stood out. And I was really grateful to see that. And then to see the tears of the parents on the end when they saw the film and saw the changes in their child and the siblings that also were involved.
Yes, I forgot to mention. Yeah, Cammy, we allow the siblings to participate.
Which is really amazing.
The typical siblings are allowed to participate with their siblings on the spectrum, which is also just amazing, isn't it, Cammy?
Well, it's really great because sometimes those siblings are not front and center, or they don't know how to interact with their autistic brother or sister. And this gave them the perfect platform to interact and be part of a whole family, not this child and all their separate needs. It was really an inclusive family activity. And so they all got to feel that benefit of the camp. So
absolutely amazing. And I know you must have heard a lot of things back from the families. I know I had an opportunity to talk to Shannon Strayhorn.
Yes.
And what an amazing mom. And she just talked endlessly about what a difference it made with her child that has been ongoing, that now they've moved away, and that her daughter is still involved in drama and doing all kinds of things. I'm wondering, what kinds of feedback did you get from the families?
I think the same type of feedback, that the children have gone on to do drama in their school or to engage with animation or to consider what they want to do when they grow up, where options weren't even thought about. And it is really a progression. When we look at Danny, who came down and supported the animation and taught the animation, she was on the spectrum, and for them to see that she had her own company, her own animation company, showed them where they could go, what they could do, and that there were no boundaries and limitations. And so you just hear about the children getting involved more in school, getting more involved in what their special interest might be, whether that be filmmaking or other technology capabilities or opportunities. So, I mean, I've just heard wonderful things, and they're clamoring to get back involved.
And we want to say that we do still have some openings for this year's camp. And it's coming up June 19th is the first day. I don't have it right in front of me.
I believe it's June 17th.
Okay, June 17th. Anyway, you can go on our website, go on act-today.org. You will see a link there. You'll see a page for the Autism Film Camp for military children, and we do have some spaces left. It's filling up fast. Okay. Word has gotten out about this amazing program, and Cammy, we are really looking forward to another year. What are your hopes for this year?
Well, my hopes for this year is that we use this as an opportunity to let more people in San Diego County know about autism, the spectrum, and how the community can help. So I would like to see not only new kids involved, but the community to be aware of what they can do to help, and just, heightening that awareness factor. And so I think those are my new goals for this year.
Thank you, Cammy, so much. And thank you and all of the good people at Cox Communications for being examples of the change that we would like to see in the world for our young people with autism, particularly those from military families. Thank you for joining us, Cammy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right, so now we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we have two of my favorite young people.
They're amazingly talented.
Two unique Autism-Neek twins who have done a lot for us, including performing at the ATMF Act Day for Military Families run every year and singing.
They're fabulous performers.
Yeah, singing the national anthem.
Ashley and Ashton.
Yes, and they are coming on as soon as we come back.
But we're going to say goodbye to me. But before I go, the author of the blog that you wrote, Kim Stagliano.
Kim Stagliano is the author of the blog that I read at the top of the show.
Second child with autism wanders, drowns in 1 week. Kim Stagliano.
Okay, thank you, Kim, for your post.
And I'm going to leave you so that you can have enough room here in our small studio with the two unique twins.
And then you'll come back at the end.
If we have time. If we don't have time at the end, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow we're having Brian Turtle from Endless Games on the show to talk about games that are appropriate for our kids. So
I want to watch that.
Yes, I have one here that you'll have to try.
Wyatt always says he wants to play games, and then when we start playing the games, they're so silly.
This one you will love.
Okay.
We tried this with Jen.
Cornered?
Yes, Cornered. And we're going to talk about that with Brian tomorrow.
Okay.
But he's got more, too. They're really good games.
All right, great.
All right, so we're going to take a break, but Nancy will be back with the two unique twins.
Today has partnered with Cox Communications to bring Inclusion Films to San Diego. Led by Joey Travolta, Inclusion Films teaches filmmaking to developmentally disabled children.
It's a practical film camp where we take them through the process of making a film. And each group, we split them into 3 groups, and they're each responsible for making a short film together as a group.
How many people like animation in this group?
This is a wonderful opportunity for children to build their self-confidence, to develop new friendships, and it's also an opportunity for their siblings to come and to enjoy the company of other peers in this really wonderful, fun setting.
Okay, so you know what time it is?
Cox Communications has years of supporting the community. We believe in giving back to the communities we serve, and military, youth, and education are our 3 pillars. And so this really matched up with everything that we're about and what we're trying to do to give back to the San Diego community. And so we were thrilled to meet up with Act Today and Inclusion Films and to have this wonderful synergy. 3 organizations really trying to move towards a common cause.
Oh, are we ready? There you go, got it. Okay, you'll be talking to me, okay? So tell me your name, say my name is. In the past, we've done The Junior Apprentice, which was a takeoff on The Apprentice, The Really, Really, Really Late Show, which is a takeoff on The Tonight Show. And this year, we're doing a combination of 60 Minutes and Entertainment Tonight called 30 Minutes Tonight.
Okay, good. So now you understand what an improv is. You guys get the idea what an improv is? To go with the flow of something, especially in the action.
My son Elijah, he's into movies and he's into music, and so this program might bring out his particular skills.
Amazing. You're like a professional animator.
Every single person here we've met has been so kind, loving, and caring. They've given Nicholas the opportunity to be himself and be around people who have the same passion and interest as he does.
What is it you learned with Ultimate? What'd you learn?
That filming is tricky.
It was really nice to know how much they were enjoying this camp, and they're with people who are supporting them and are making them feel great about themselves and their differences and their similarities. And I get 2 kids that are working together and apart and together and apart, so it's an interrelationship as well as a camp and a learning experience.
Everything that goes into the process of making a film goes into everyday life. So they're learning life skills, they're learning to collaborate. And when they collaborate, they come up with a product that everybody can see they're a part of something. They become a community, they become a family. When you make a film, you really become a family.
Are we having fun at film camp? Yeah! You know, we are close to Hollywood. Yep. And Hollywood is always looking for young talent like you.
Autism is an epidemic,
and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. Families are struggling to pay the bills, to put food on their table, let alone provide services for their children. And ACT Today is a vehicle of support for these families by helping them get access to life supports that they couldn't otherwise have.
My experience in film camp has been great, and I just really love how all you guys decided to bring us together.
What I learned here, I learned to animate, how to operate the platform. I learned about the animation and filming and editing. Making friends.
Making new friends and acting.
Meeting new friends. You can be anything you want to be.
What this meant for your family.
It's hard to put into words, to be honest with you. It's just been godsend. I don't even know how to describe it. It's been amazing.
Attending the camp was something that my children never ever would have been able to do previously. It brought a level of confidence I've seen in their schoolwork, but I've seen in them socially, but I've never seen before.
This premiere ties three things that are near and dear to me in my life. One, autism, because it touches directly in my family. Two, most of my friends here are military. Three, film. I love film. I love performing.
Well, first of all, it's a great cause that you've created here for all these kids. Every time you come out, you feel like you're giving back, and you want to be able to support these kids.
Everything that goes into everyday life goes into filming. So all the things that go into them are all life skills. So I just think any program like this, any arts program, anything that can let these kids communicate, it's just important. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
The children in the military have special challenges. Every couple of years, their parents have to start over getting their programs back, and that is something that is daunting. Luckily, we have wonderful advocates working all the time in ACT Today, and I'm seeing differences, like more military members being really cognizant of the needs of special needs families.
And I just want to thank you for your service.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you for being such an amazing mom and working with you. And I want you to have a wonderful time tonight. Tonight's for you. Thank you.
And we are back with the two unique.
Yeah.
And they are twins.
Yes, we are.
Yes. And okay, introduce yourselves to us.
Hey guys, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Ashton.
And you are two unique.
That's
and
right.
that is spelled, you go by two dash U dash N-E-E-K.
You got it, Nancy. You're on it.
Okay, Ashton and Ashley, you are fraternal twins.
That's right. We are. Not identical. Some people kind of, you're identical. It's like, no, we're not identical. Identical twins are like two boys, two girls.
Right.
Yeah, same sex, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. And you have been, you're long-term friends of ACT Today now. You're so young, but you've done a lot for us at ACT Today.
We love ACT Today.
Yeah,
I know. We were just looking at the film festival, which you were there.
Yeah, we were able to see the film.
You have now performed at our ACT Today for Military Families Run and Festival for 3 years?
I believe so.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last 3 years.
Time is gone by.
Yeah, it just seems like every time like that's come up, it's like, dang, like, it's already here? It's here already? Yeah.
I know. I'm watching you two grow up before my eyes.
I know. And the run, it seems to get, bigger and better each year.
Yeah.
Y'all do a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, tell, for those of our viewers that don't know your work, what kind of performances do you do, and what kind of music do you perform?
Well, do you want to?
Well, we do like pop R&B style music. We like to make it entertaining for the people. We love singing and we love dancing.
You're
and
great
entertaining.
dancers.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we do. We performed. Let's see, at the last run, and we just had a blast. It was just so the positive energy there.
Positive energy, people high-fiving each other.
Raising money for, this great cause and autism and everything like that. It's just fantastic, and it just kind of, I think, when you get on stage, I don't know for me, but it kind of inspired me, a little bit more, to, do a little bit more, get the people a little bit more hype, just to, feel that energy. I just love it, and it just brings out, the best entertainer in me.
Yeah. And you guys really entertain. I want to tell our viewers that, I hope that they get to come see you at some of Active Day's events and other events. We're going to give your website out, and hopefully people will be able to appreciate you and purchase some of your work.
Yeah, awesome.
You are very, when you say pop, I mean in the best tradition of like a Usher or, Michael Jackson. I mean, you guys can dance, you can sing, you are the whole package.
Thank you.
And did you start performing together when you were really young?
Yes, we did.
I think we started like doing baby pageants.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think the mom got us in the baby pageant.
Your mom choice is quite the mom. She's not proud of you, though.
No.
She's not proud of you at all. I'm telling you, every time you guys get something, she'll write me and say, Nancy, guess what? And she is really a power.
Yeah, she's on it. Yeah, we're very blessed to have her.
She is a hurricane. A good hurricane.
Hurricane Joyce.
Hurricane Joyce. That's what they should name one, because she's a force of nature, and she just believes in you too, as she should, because you're so talented.
Thank you.
Now, autism is something that you have been personally affected by. Tell us about that.
Well, we have a cousin who had mild autism, I believe by the age of 3.
Yeah, she was diagnosed.
And right now, she's I think she's about to be 8 this year.
Okay.
And
time goes by fast.
Time goes
we
by
were saying.
fast.
How is she doing?
She's doing beautifully. I mean, right now, you can't even tell if she has autism.
So she's had a lot of interventions, therapy, and support.
Therapy and stuff. And, we're just blessed, that she has just grown, with her therapy to where that she is now, which is just wonderful.
And she has good parents, too.
And she has great parents,
I think that's the key, really. I mean, her parents really do a great job in, getting her to therapy and, getting her, to whatever she needs. And that's awesome.
Well, all of the people that watch this webcast are great parents, because they are watching this in an effort to help their children. You're reaching a group of people right now that are great parents to children with autism, and I know how much they appreciate your volunteerism, your commitment, because let's face it, you don't have to do this. You're entertainers. A lot of entertainers don't do anything in the charitable world. Why is it important to you as young entertainers and rising stars to give back?
Well, for me, just as a person, it's kind of like in my blood to give back. I think as men, as humanity needs to give back to people who are less fortunate or who are going through the struggle, because basically what it just evolves around is, about love, is about compassion, and basically,
And
I think
that's good. That's good. You saw Shannon, compassion in action, shaving that head of hers.
That's right.
Really.
Last time I saw her, she had hair.
I know. That takes guts, doesn't it?
Especially for a woman.
No kidding.
Because we love our hair.
I know.
And it's like,
But she's being an example of the change we want to see in the world. I think that was Gandhi who said that, be the change you want to see in the world. And you, too, are doing that as well. So it's wonderful. Now, tell us about, where can people visit your website? What's your website?
Oh, yeah, it's toounique.com.
Toounique.com.
Yeah, so it's just 2-u-neek.com.
Okay. And if they go to your website, can they learn about things you've got coming up?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
we got
our shows coming up.
We got our Facebook link on there.
Twitter.
Now, there's a Kickstarter project, isn't there?
That's right. That's also
Tell us about that.
That's also on the website.
Yeah, it's also on the website.
We're kickstarting to, let's see, We have a children's book. We're trying to raise money
a children's book. I know.
We have a children's book
coming out.
Is it about you?
No, it's not about us.
It's not about us.
But it's about like two little turtles and, going through obstacles, and they come together to overcome those obstacles.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, it's kind of like you in a way. It's like a metaphor too. Instead of two little turtles, we have two people, brother and sister, coming together, helping the world overcome obstacles.
Yeah.
So
it's really great. And
or Nancy and Shannon.
Or everyone else who's
or everyone coming together. Yeah. Yeah, I think you two are so wonderful. Now, I want to say that when you sing the national anthem, can you do a couple of bars for me?
Couple bars?
Come on.
The national anthem.
Yeah.
I was put on the spot here.
Flag?
Come on, that's all right.
Put on the spot here. I think Ashton starts it off.
All right, Ashton, you start it off.
Okay.
Come on.
Let's see here.
Oh, say, can you see?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light
what so proudly we hailed
at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Okay. Everybody out there, blowing Italy. Are we all applauding out there? Woo! I'm crying.
Oh my God. I know Joyce is probably like, hit that note. You better hit that note, son. You better hit that note.
Mama Bear's out there going, Nancy, you put them on the spot, and you did well.
Oh, thank you.
If that was being put on the spot, let me tell you, you should be put on the spot every day, because you two... Awesome.
Thank you,
How do you
Nancy.
say awesome? That is just, your voices are incredible.
Thank
and
you,
they can
Nancy.
dance, and you are the whole package. So we want our viewers to go on your website. We want them to get this Kickstarter project. What can they do to help?
What can they do to help? Well, you could go to kickstarter.com/Gunique.
Just send it to the website.
Okay.
I think the link is on the website.
The link is on the website. And check out our story, read our story, and we have the video up on there and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have a video of what we're trying to do. So really, all you got to do is go to the website, click the Kickstarter link, and there's, it'll take you to the video. Watch the video, and we'll take it from there.
All right.
Yeah. And I would like to say something. Ashton and I, we would like to make a donation to Act Today. So, yeah, so...
I'm blown away by both of you.
They just told me that in the waiting room. I was like, okay, cool, we'll do it. Let's make it happen.
Cool. You guys are so wonderful. And Act Today appreciates your support, and we are with you all the way. I know one day you're going to be getting that Grammy, and I'm going to be sitting there at home going, yep. I knew it. I knew you two would go all the way.
You'd probably be at the Grammys anyway.
Well, I might.
Be like,
if you're there, I'm there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you better have me there when you get that Grammy.
Yeah,
okay.
And we'll be partying up.
Partying up.
All right.
After party with Nancy.
All right. I say let's do it. And Act Today is with you all the way. We appreciate everything you do. You're a great example to the community and to young people everywhere of what the impact that entertainers can have on our society. And thank you for your support of autism.
No, thank you.
We love to support Act Today.
All right. Well, we're going to say goodbye, and when I come back, we'll close out the show.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank
you. I did.
If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the soul that you know will melt away. Comes along with the strength to carry on. inside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. We all know dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Hold on, there will be tomorrow. In time, you'll find a way, and then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. That a hero lies in you.
Thank you.
And that was D&D. And as you saw, Two Unique performed. And are they great?
Oh, they're amazing.
I know. I
Two
did put them on the
wonderful
spot, but
young
I knew
people.
they'd deliver.
And how nice. And two wonderful, kind, sweet, talented people. But, you know, sometimes people have talent and they don't have the kind personality.
Oh, yeah. We
So
hear
they-
about those people every day, don't we?
Yes, yes, we do. But they're not only triple threats. On top of that, they're really kind, nice, sweet, concerned.
Right. So
young
the show
people.
kind of took an arc today. It started with, you know,
life.
anger and sadness about,
Yes.
you know, the deaths of two children who eloped. And then we got into our fabulous champion, Darrell Steinberg, and
Yes.
the bills passing Congress. And now with the Two Unique, we see we can be the difference we want to see in the world.
And in between, let's not forget Cox Communication.
Cox
the fact
Communications,
that there are
hello.
businesses who are helping as well. So, you know, it's that bigger picture that we always talk about on the show, that sometimes you can focus on something and there are tragedies that happen and there are things that are difficult, but there's more than that. There are great things that are happening as well. We're not going to poo-poo the negative things and not face them, right? And we're going to have our emotions about them, but let's remember that there are some really good things and good people that are out there working, like you.
And you, as I was saying to the twins, this show is for parents who want to make a difference in their children's lives. Autism Live every day. By tuning into Autism Live every day, you are getting tools to help you be the best parent you can be.
We hope. That's our mission. That's our mission.
And, you know, I always say to parents when I meet them at conferences, I don't think they hear it enough. You are a great parent.
And you're doing a great job.
And you're doing a great job. We don't hear that enough.
Absolutely.
We compare ourselves. I was just talking to you about Wyatt was in a school, the school spring recital, and he did not participate like I wanted him to. He did not. He played the cymbals, okay, you know, which to me was, you know, how difficult can that be, Wyatt, to hit the cymbals every now and then?
That can be really difficult, Mom.
Evidently, yes. Because he was
It's all
not
about the
hitting the
timing.
cymbals. So one of the 7th graders came out to help him, which I thank God that I have a 7th grader who can help my son, and I didn't have to jump up on the stage. But then he wasn't singing the words to the songs, and I was doing the comparison game to another little boy on the spectrum who was singing everything, you know, and I'm like, why can't my son be singing? So, you know, you get in those moments where you compare yourself, and comparisons always end up in us being unhappy with ourselves. We can't do that, right?
Right. But I had shared that at our spring concert, what happened was that my son at one point did a couple of things with his hands, and the busybody girl that was behind him, who was the 6th grader, who thinks it's her job to police my child, she talked throughout the whole concert publicly, humiliated him in the middle of the concert, and I wanted to get up and just tear the paint off the walls.
Okay, so we both have our spring concert story.
Yes, I wanted to take that building apart and say, this is not fair. He's doing a great job. How about you try not talking for the whole... She talked throughout the whole concert.
Well, that's not cool.
No, it isn't cool at all.
Now, see, I have a bunch of little junior therapists in my son's class. And I'm I am thankful for them, because they'll say, Wyatt, that's silly, or Wyatt, hands down, or Wyatt, don't pick your nose.
But I imagine that they're not picking their nose and then saying to him, don't pick your nose.
They're not. They have learned, as he's gone to school at this particular school now, this is his 3rd year there, they have learned what he needs to be doing. And the other great thing about them is they always come over and say, Wyatt, do you want to play with us?
Yes. Well, I have said before, and I want to say it again, and it was the topic of conversation with my husband last night, that we want your principal to come on the show, because I want to pick her brain about the buddy program that she has.
Great.
Because I want to advocate
Actually,
for
our
that
principal
at my son's
is
school.
leaving. He is going to Bozeman, Montana.
Can he come to my school?
And we're hoping that it would be very hard to get somebody as wonderful as the Hudimas, Phil Hudima and his wife, Christy, because she's the school secretary. He also is the coach, the this, the that. And we have many children with autism at the school that have been just amazingly successful.
Well, before he leaves for Bozeman, Montana, I would like to have him on the show.
Okay, we'll get him on.
Because I'd like to pick his brain.
I
think you've got a great thing going on there. And I think more of you and I would like to know more about that, so that we could try to make that happen at our schools.
Okay.
I would imagine. We have this list of things that we're really not going to get to.
We're not going to get through it. We're going to put it on the blog.
But Emily's going to show you some of the ways that you can get in touch with us. But there are a list of events that are coming up
today. So many things.
And we're going to put it up on the blog so that you can see. But there are a lot of really
Stephanie's Day is coming up June 8th.
And I didn't realize that was happening so soon. That's a really important day. I would love to have them on the show.
Why don't we have Steve Malden on?
He's fabulous.
Who started it?
So we could be having this conversation afterwards, not sharing with the whole.
All right, we'll book the show.
It's very exciting
as we're talking to you. Okay, let's have him next week.
That would be very exciting. In any case, we're out of time. We'll be back tomorrow with Brian Turtle from Endless Games. And until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me.
Okay, bye-bye for now.
Oh, we're over here.